Hi, everyone, and welcome. If you can take your seats, we're going to get started in just a few short minutes here. I know there's a lot of family that hasn't sat in their front rows here, so we'll get you guys to take a seat, and we'll get going in just about 2 minutes. So you can turn the music back on for just 2 more minutes. Thank you. Al, you can give up my chair. I guess we'll get started. All right, everybody. Wow, what a turnout. And here I was thinking that we wouldn't fill up this big space. Look at this. But my cousin Sherry said we would. Hi, family in the back. Oh, welcome. I'll just let everyone work their way into their seats, those that have them. Um, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you. Thank you all for coming here today to celebrate the life of my Aunt Diane Dupuis. There's a few chairs here. If there's a name on it, Just sit in it. Um, it's incredibly meaningful to see so many people gathered here. There's family, friends, colleagues. Um, then I've met members of the broader business community and charity foundations that she was part of. So it really speaks to the impact that Diane had and the many, many lives that she touched. I thought I saw her, but now I'm seeing people I haven't said hi yet. Um, so I'm Taylor Tone, Diane's niece, and Diane was the youngest of 5 siblings, one being my mom, Dolly, and her and her sister Sylvia are here today. Um, Diane and we had a special connection through our shared entrepreneurial spirit and also through some fun things like golf. I wish I shared her passion for shopping, but that was what her girlfriends were for. Um, I love those days golfing with her right here at the Richmond Country Club. She was a member for the better part of 40 years. Um, and as you'd expect, she was always the best dressed golfer out there by a mile. And if she had a bad game, which those that golf with her, sometimes she had a really bad game, she'd say, "Oh, well, at least I look good." And it's true, she did. Um, if you knew my Aunt Diane, you knew that she was very particular. She knew exactly what she wanted at pretty much at all times. And if you didn't ask, she just let you know. And it was usually in a very nice way. Um, she was a force. She was a visionary entrepreneur who built the Dupuis-Celebration Group into one of BC's most respected insurance firms. She earned industry recognition, major awards, and the respect of everyone that she worked with. But in spite of all that, or in addition to all of that, if you would ask her what her greatest pride was, it was her 37-year marriage to Fred Langen, filled with love, laughter, travel, great conversation, and a little dancing. She was also very incredibly proud of mentoring women and watching them grow into strong, successful professionals. Some of them are here today. Um, and, and that passion led her to co-found the Act West Community Foundation, supporting women in pursuit of their education. She believed in giving back in a big way, and I know there's a whole bunch of people here today that were a part of that with her. She helped raise millions for the Richmond Hospital Foundation and supported countless initiatives in the community. She didn't just build a life for herself, she helped build her community. She was also incredibly proud, not just of her family, but of the many circles of the friends that she built, from business to community to her lifelong personal friendships. And she lived life. She loved to dress up, she loved to travel, she loved to shop. Maui was her happy place, and she even has friends here that are here from Maui. She loved being surrounded by friends, family, and this wider community that you see before you. She brought energy, style, and a little bit of sparkle wherever she went. She worked hard, but she also knew how to have fun, and she expected the people around her to enjoy life right alongside her. Her advice, it was simple, and she lived by it. She would say, focus on what you want, not what you don't have, because what you focus on expands. And she was living proof of that. She will be remembered for her class, her generosity, her strength, her sharp mind, and that unmistakable presence that she brought into every room. And because she loved a great gathering, it feels only right that today reflects that. In fact, I told my cousin, or she told my cousin Sherry and I that she wanted a great big party. And she gave us all of the details, even the fuchsia. And she said, wear fuchsia and have fuchsia. And we're like, okay. So Sherry and I were her represented. And she said, it's going to cost a lot of money, but it'll be worth every penny. And I think she knew what she was talking about. You may have noticed some memory boxes around the room. I encourage you to jot down a story or a phrase or something that reminds you of Diane. And when the family gathers at the annual family barbecue, which she started better than 35 years ago. We'll read them out loud to each other then and share those memories. But if you're brave enough and you want to share a story with us today, you can do so. There'll be an open mic and an open bar if some of you didn't notice. I think, don't tell my oldest son about that one, but and after the speakers, I know. And after the speakers, there'll be an opportunity to come up and share some stories. So I'd like to invite a few friends and family members to come up and share some of their favorite memories of Diane. But first, I'd like to welcome Vicky Joe Hall of show. Thank you. I asked. You know what? I asked Al. I said, "Is the S silent?" And he's like, "Yes." He's like. So Joe Hall, a friend of Diane's, and she's going to sing a special song and set it all off for us today. So let's give her a round of applause. Get her set up.
Oh, man. Thank you so much. Rob is playing keyboard for me today because Diane also loved piano. We couldn't bring a piano. And we're just going to make sure the sound is working. Unless somebody has a piano in the house. There it is. That sounds like a piano. There it is. So this song was requested by the family, and I was so grateful and honored to be a singer at a lot of her parties and also here in Richmond Country Club. And I recognize so many faces out there. So you'll understand that this song was like one of her favorites and chosen by the family. I see trees of green, red roses too. I see them bloom for me and for you. And I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I see skies of blue and clouds of white. The bright blessed day, the dark sacred night. And I think to myself, yes, sing along if you want. Oh, what a wonderful world. Yeah, the colors of the rainbow, so pretty in the sky, are also on the faces of people passing by. I see friends saying hi. How do you do? They're really saying, I love you. Let's do that line again. I love you. I hear babies cry and I watch them grow. They'll learn much more than I'll ever know. Oh, but I think to myself, what a wonderful world. I think to myself, oh, what a wonderful world. Okay, you guys gonna sing along to this next part? I just added it. Thank you for being Diane. Travel down the road and back again. You can dance, girl. Your heart is true. You're a pal and a confidant. And if you threw a party, invited everyone you knew, what would we do? You would see the biggest gift would be for me, and the card attached would say, thank you for being Diane. Thanks to Rob over here on keyboard. Thank you.
That was awesome. Thank you so much. I grabbed for the tissue, then she started singing the upbeat song. I was like, whoo, thank goodness. That was. Thank you. Thank you so much, Vicki. Jackie? Yeah. Next up, I'd like to welcome my cousin, Jackie Howman, to the stage.
I got a two-fist this one. I'm gonna put this one on this side because I'm gonna need that. The cheeks are red because I was outside and it's hot. That's my story and I'm sticking to it. I'm also gonna tell you that I've made probably about 42 drafts of this speech and I can't remember any of it at this moment. And as I was listening to Taylor, I'm thinking, well, that was in my, oh, she mentioned that. And while we're talking about that, can somebody please get Travis a drink? Yes. All right. So this is quite the formidable crowd. I was expecting a big crowd. I think I'm going to err on the side of Taylor that I wasn't expecting this many. I can't be prouder to see this many people out here to pay homage to my Aunt Diane. So, no, my voice is not cracking. Whew. My name is Jackie. As she said, I'm also one of Diane's nieces, and I feel like you've probably heard that quite a few times over your lifetime with Diane as she would introduce, this is my niece, this is my niece, this is my niece, because Diane had a lot of nieces, and she was very proud of them all. When I was asked to step up here and say a few words about Aunt Diane, I was pretty excited to do it. But then I was getting a little overwhelmed. How do I do this? How do I talk about such a woman, such an accomplished woman in just a few minutes? So I told Sherry, there's no way I can get up there for 5 or 10 minutes. I'm gonna be up there for as long as I wanna be up there. She said that was okay. And what can we talk about? Well, Taylor's already talked about a couple of things, and she didn't talk to me before about this. So am I going to talk about her enormous generosity with charities and her involvement in the community? You guys know that. A lot of you know her from that involvement in her life, and it was a huge part of her life. How about, hang on. I decided instead of talking about her work and her charity, I was going to talk from the heart and speak about the successful woman who was always put together, fun, and often quirky if my kids get up here to speak about their excursions, but such a big part of our family. Did you guys ever know about Diane's desire to get a golf cart? Yes. So Aunt Diane thought that it was appropriate because she lives just down the street here that she should just get a golf cart and she could just buzz back and forth to the club. And honestly, I think she was only about 6 months away from getting that golf cart. I don't think it fits on the sidewalk, but I think she would have figured it out. That's actually, that speaks volumes to the kind of woman that Aunt Diane was. As Taylor said, she was the youngest of 5 kids, and so am I. And this was something that we shared together, and I think it was one of the bonds that we had. And from a very young child, not quite this young, but as a very young child, I spent a lot of summers with my Aunt Diane. We had a lot of good times together. It was just the two of us for a couple of years, and then Uncle Freddie came along. With so many good times those years, I spent a lot of time here with Aunt Diane and Uncle Fred. There was an arcade. I don't know if that arcade is still here, but I spent a lot of time there. Lots of time at the pool. Our summers also included blockbuster movies at the Stanley Park Theater. It's not around anymore, is it? It's still there. Okay, E.T. and Back to the Future were big features that we saw. I lost my place. Hang on. I want to circle back to something that was a huge part of Aunt Diane's life, and some of you, unfortunately, may not be aware of it because this happened such a long time ago. My mom, Aunt Diane's sister, passed away 24 years ago, And Seika, that was her name, was a big part of Aunt Diane's life, and she was a big influence of her life. She wasn't just her sister, she was her closest friend and her confidant. Losing her left a huge void in Diane's life, but as life often happens, it also filled it with something. And that was a promise that Aunt Diane made to my mom at the family barbecue, the last family barbecue that my mom was able to attend. And again, as Taylor mentioned, the family barbecues originated from Aunt Diane 38 years ago, 1987 or 1988? 1988. And yes, this was Diane's dedication to her family, this family barbecue. I'm sure all of you have heard her talk about the family barbecue every single year, when it is, where it's going to be, and how excited she was to have everybody come together. But Aunt Diane, and I'm going to tell you, I don't know if anybody will realize this, but Aunt Diane had a nickname. It was Dee Dee. And so my mom and Dee Dee would get together every Monday afternoon at 3 o'clock, and they would have a phone call every week for years and years and years. And the two of them, they would talk about business, they would talk about family, they would talk about politics. Any of you have talked politics with Diane? No, she had an opinion about politics. But as I said, Diane took this promise that she made to my mom to look after the five of us very, very closely. And it's to our benefit that she did this. We were fortunate and blessed that she kept that promise to have that surrogate presence and the incredible influence that she was to all of us, as well as our kids. All the milestones, birthdays, weddings, new babies, graduations, not to mention those phone calls if she thought you were screwing up. Personally, I didn't get any of those phone calls. That would be Ellen. Ellen got those phone calls. Thanks for taking that shot. If you haven't met my three kids, they're standing over here actually, Alex, Katie, and Dana. You'll see a lot of Aunt Diane in them. You'll hear a lot of Aunt Diane in them, and that's because of her influence and her presence all the time in the family, not just at the barbecues, not just at those milestones, but just present, just there when she needed to be, there when, we weren't even looking for her, but there she was. Katie chose to follow Aunt Diane and began working for her. I won't. Which was a source of endless pride for Diane. Katie still currently works for Westland, and I'm sure Diane had words with Mark, and I didn't get to meet Mark. Where is he? Mark, I saw there, he's sitting down. Mark, I have to tell you, I'm sure Diane had words with you about Katie's mentoring. So we're going to have to follow that up and say, don't screw it up, Mark. Because she'll fall a tree on you if you do. As we all talk today and reminisce about her and we think about everything that we remember about her, we miss her more and more. And one thing becomes very apparent. None of us really want to be here right now. We don't want to be here remembering and reminiscing about her in this manner. We'd rather have her here with us. We would rather have her sharing our latest accomplishments, whether it was at work or at home. We want to hear her very familiar response. Well, I think that's fabulous. That's just fabulous. That was what she would tell us. As with every adventure experience with Aunt Diane, I learned a lot about her character, especially in this last 14 months. And sadly, when you think about it, it really boiled down to 14 months. So she fought every day with grace, impressive personal style, and such incredible dignity. What I would like to conclude are some simple things that I learned from Aunt Diane throughout her life. And I think that it's all of us, the family, that learn these things and will remember these things. And a lot of you have heard these as well. Many of these are Dianeisms, and we like to have a good giggle when we talk about them. They bring warmth and happiness to my heart, and I hope they bring the same to yours. I'm vastly summarizing, but you guys can all relate. And as I'm about to say this, I've already violated number 2. Number 1, always place a napkin in your lap. Number 2, always wear lipstick. Number 3, Taylor already said this, but it was truly, Diane said this all the time, focus on what you want. Focus on what you want. That's a real easy life lesson. We're going to need to remember that. Use a placemat for your plate and a coaster for your drink. Education and training is important and should always be pursued and updated. Say what you mean to say. That's a good one. Say what you mean to say. Oh, don't wear your slippers outside. Dana, don't wear your slippers outside. Hey, 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 hey. Okay, so she said it to me. That's beside the point. Take care of your skin. Wash your face, moisturize, wear sunscreen, put on a hat, and make sure it matches your outfit. Generosity begins at home. And the most important, love and cherish your family. So let's raise a glass to the person who always raised a toast to us. And cheers to Aunt Diane. Oh, made it.
Well done, cousin. Take your glasses and don't forget your lipstick. Thanks, Jackie. So next, please help me welcome a dear friend of Diane's, Anna Nairati. Oh, there. Okay, I'm looking around. Okay.
Yes, I am short. Thank you. Oh my goodness, wow, it looks so different from up here. Holy smokes. Um, First of all, hi everyone, good afternoon. And okay, half of my speech is gone because we covered half of the topics, but anyway, we'll see what we can do here. I've tried so hard to think about things that I could share that not everybody else was going to talk about, but there's always a common theme, so we'll get to it. As many of you know, or many people used to say that the two of you are like sisters, but actually we were exact opposites in so many ways, like chalk and cheese, yet it made for a lifelong friendship full of adventures and experiences and great memories. And I'm going to try and share some of those with you today. I met Diane in 1985, yes, so that's over 41 years ago, when she became my insurance agent. We became fast friends when we realized we had so many common interests, but a couple stood out for both of us. One being that we both loved being involved in our community and our favorite charities, and the other being shopping. You're going to hear this theme a lot today. I also discovered that Diane loved going to charity galas. She loved that as much as she loved shopping. But when she could combine both of those together, both of those passions together in one event, she was in heaven. A couple of years into our friendship, Diane asked me to join her on the board of the Richmond Hospital Foundation. It mattered not to her that I didn't live or work in Richmond. She shot down every excuse that I came up with about why this didn't fit. But she kept saying, but just think about how much fun we would have going to those galas together. So naturally, due to her exceptional salesmanship, she talked me into joining the board, like she did to many other things that she got me into. But from that point on, we did attend many charity galas together. I always remember that for Diane, the planning started weeks before the event. She'd be so excited about shopping for her dress And then a few days beforehand, she would start going through the auction items and strategizing about what she was going to shop for. And when I say shop, it meant bidding for items in the live auction. She loved this whole process. I'll never forget one experience where Diane attended one of my galas in Vancouver. We weren't sitting together at that event. So during the live auction bidding, there was a lot of interest in one particular auction item. And it seemed that the bidding was going on forever. I was even bidding on it. All of a sudden, from across the room, we heard a woman yelling, "Who the hell is bidding against me?" And Diane did that often. Everything went quiet in the room, and that's when I saw Diane standing there at the other end of the room, looking around to see who the competitor was. Now, the MC knew that I was bidding, but he didn't say anything, but he did call out my name. Well, for those who knew us and that we were friends, you could just imagine, it was hysterical. And we heard comments like, "Can't you two get your act together? And look, those two are really good friends, but they're bidding against each other." Anyway, it kept everybody in stitches for a while. And that actually lasted for a very long time. People still kept talking about it. And they thought it was a comedy performance that we had planned and organized, which it was not. From that point on, we did get our act together and had a better strategy for avoiding this happening again. But we also had a plan that if the bidding looked like it was slowing down, then we'd resurrect that comedy act again. Yeah, I know, lots of people are shaking their heads, yes. Now, most everyone knows that Diane loved to win at anything. It mattered not what it was, whether it was tennis, cards, golf, shopping, even bidding at auctions. And Diane also loved being in the spotlight. So most auctioneers figured this out pretty quickly, and so they played up to her. And it was always so much fun watching Diane get carried away with the bidding and forget to stop. Her heart was in the right place because she wanted to try and raise as much money as she could for the charities, but she just got so caught up in it that she just didn't know when to stop. Anyway, watching her in this mode always made for so much fun and entertainment for all the guests at the events. So I want to share one story about one of those live auction wins. At one gala, I had talked Diane into this unique experience to go heli hiking in the Bugaboos. She knew that I was really keen on it. Her, not so much, but she agreed to do this adventure with me anyways. We had to delay this trip for a couple of years, but we finally set the date. Once we did, we couldn't change it. And so that's when Diane told me that she had never hiked before. From nothing to the top. A small issue, but we had some time to resolve that. So firstly, we needed to get Diane outfitted for hiking. So that was okay. She thought that was shopping, and she was all for that until she realized what she was shopping for, and she was not very excited about it. But we got through that. Next, we needed to get her some hiking experience. So over the next couple of months leading up to the trip, every Sunday she'd come over to my place with her new hiking boots on, and we'd walk up the hill to the UBC area. On the way back down, she always wanted to walk where there were some shops and cafes. That is what she looked forward to the most. The hiking was torture, she said. Well, those Sunday hikes ended up being all-day events, and I might add, very costly ones. So flash forward to the day of the trip. We get to Banff, and that's when she tells me that she had not been on a helicopter since her helicopter accident many years ago. I'd totally forgotten about the accident, and it didn't even cross my mind that this could have been an issue. Anyway, this heli hiking, as the name implies, is hiking by helicopter, namely in the backcountry and the wilderness areas. So it consists of many helicopter trips in a day. So you're basically going from one mountain peak to another, and you're taking off from some very steep and precarious terrain. Okay, talk about your facing your worst nightmare. But Diane went for it, and she didn't back away. And I could just still feel it. I was so proud of her because she didn't let me down. I can still remember her face with that huge smile on it. I remember she kept saying, "Can you believe we're really doing this?" On that hike and in those helicopter rides, I, I came to clearly see Diane's determination, her tenacity, and her willpower. That when she set her mind on achieving something, nothing would stop her. Afterwards, we talked often about that trip, remembering it fondly, and we remembered every hike from every mountain and how we both pushed our limits and faced our fears, knowing that we had each other's back every step of the way. There was only one thing missing from this incredible adventure, and that was that there was no on those mountains. But let me tell you that she tried. She even asked about buying a painting that hung on one of the walls in the lodge. I was mortified, mortified. She couldn't help herself. And she was telling them that they should have souvenirs to sell there. Again, trying to run the lodge. How she thought that she could get home with that painting was beyond the point. It didn't matter, but she still had to try. I hold on to that wonderful memory, and I'm grateful for having shared that experience with my lifelong friend, Diane, along with so many other memories that Diane and I shared together throughout the many years of our friendship. I'm sure that all of you have some great memories too about Diane. So let's toast to Diane and all the wonderful memories that she created for each of us. Cheers. Cheers.
That's great. Wonderful. I didn't know that part about her wanting to buy the picture in the lodge. That's fantastic, but not at all surprising. Next up, please help me welcome another special friend of Diane's, Mary Waring.
Okay. I know we're going to probably hear a bit of repetition here because shopping does enter into my experience with Diane as well. But we're here to celebrate Diane in many ways, big and small, that she touched our lives. I met Diane through the Women's Presidents Organization. Many of my WPO sisters are out there today to celebrate her. Diane and I formed an instant bond in that relationship. We were the veterans in the group, although she never wanted to be called a veteran. But she liked to be called seasoned rather than mature. So we had to be very careful with our words. She was a natural leader. She was a mentor to so many young women starting out in business. There you go, Katie. And loved to champion their success. The sisterhood, friendship, and purpose that she found in this group of strong women and those of the IWF, also here today to celebrate Diane, the International Women's Forum. These groups were very, very important to her. Early on in our friendship, we traveled together to an award ceremony in Florida. That was the start of many adventures. Some people thought we were an unlikely duo. She was a glamorous one. In the beginning, I found that very intimidating. Diane was a fashion icon, always looking like she stepped out of a Vogue magazine cover. Incredible style, expensive heels, expensive handbags, and usually the glasses to match somehow, you know, her assortment. Did she ever leave the house without lipstick? Not often, no. When Diane entered the room knew it. With confidence, she'd walk in, flip the hair, and take control. Her instructions on how to take a photograph still ring in my ear. Okay, girls, she used to call us all girls, turn sideways, hands on the hip, chin down, eyes on the camera, you know. We soon discovered, Diane, we had a lot more similar things about us than we knew. We discovered we had similar backgrounds. She and I both grew up in very small towns. We both had very strong father figures. And if you can believe it, we grew up with both fathers owning general stores. Like, that is weird. Those early days of working in the family business put indelible stamps of work ethic on us. And Diane and I felt like we were the only two women who worked on Saturday mornings because we called each other every Saturday morning at 10 from the office. She was proud of the company she built, and I know those in the room who worked for her and with her can attest to her deep compassion for the work and for her people. Her husband, Fred, was the love of her life. Of course, Taylor's already alluded to that, and everyone knows that. He was one of those handsome men that got better with age, like a fine wine, and all of us girls would be envious of that. We would watch those two and think what a glorious relationship they had. I could never keep up to Diane in the shopping department. As our friend Anna can attest to, she could size up a store in seconds. And if she saw something that she fancied, Anna and I had to acquiesce. That meant get out of the way because she would have her hand on it. That was it. One conference we went to, a very stylish New York designer put these 3 very expensive outfits on display for her when she arrived. And let me tell you, she didn't disappoint. All 3 ended up in the garment bag going home. But at the same conference, WPO sisters and I went out in Montreal and found ourselves with Diane leading the charge to get out there with our heels on cobblestone streets and staying out at a speakeasy till 4 a.m. I mean, you never knew what Diane was going to come up with next. Those of us that shopped with Diane over the years know all about the overflow closet and the rule about one outfit in and one outfit out, and that's a loose rule, didn't really get followed. My closet is like a memory box of things that I shopped with Diane. Today I'm wearing pink, and that is so not like me. I have a closet of black clothes, and I'm giving it up for you, Diane. I'm not wearing black today. On to golf. She took me on as a project in golf. It was a passion for Diane, as we know, and she was convinced that because I was athletic, I'd be good at it. I learned to like the game, and I could drive the ball very far and very straight, but when it came to putting that little ball in the hole, I could turn a 3 into a 10 really fast. Diane was responsible for me helping me choose my own set of clubs and an entire closet of matching golf wear. It seemed like part of the game that after the game you had to go to the clubhouse and get another pair of shoes you didn't need and then another neon outfit that you didn't need either, but that was the way it was. I had the privilege of going to Maui every year for a holiday of sun, sand, golf, and friendship, and I treasured each one. And she came to my house on the Sunshine Coast for cooking. Well, I did the cooking, and sunshine and kayaking adventures. Many, many trips together, California, Maui, Montreal, and Europe. Me with my carry-on, Diane with her matching Louis Vuitton luggage. It's hard for me to believe that only 3 years ago at this time of year, we were packing up and heading off to London, and then on to Helsinki, Finland, and then for a trip to Scotland, which was so memorable. We had such fun. I still remember Diane and I in Edinburgh signing up for a private tour of the Outlander country and being picked up by a 6'4" gorgeous young guide in a kilt named Jamie. I mean, it was awesome. She had a Diane had a deep compassion for others. She treated everybody with respect, regardless of their walks of life. She could talk to anyone, whether in their personal lives or for companies going through their employee programs. She felt deeply and handled each situation with care. She was always the first one to reach out. If you dealt with a loss or a family issue, she'd be on the phone reaching out to you to make sure you're okay. She was there with a call to check in. If you had a success or a win or an award, she'd be the first one to call and congratulate you. She was super smart, with quick wit and great sense of humor, and the sort of friend you could count on to hold your secrets or give advice, and she always had your back. By February of 2025, we were golfing as usual in Maui. Everything was normal. By March, she was in the hospital. By April and May, she'd started treatment. It's hard to believe, really, as I stand here today. Diane faced her illness with immeasurable strength and dignity. Especially in the last few months of her life, I'd have to sit in the car after a visit, unable to move. But I sat in reflection and marvel at her brave attitude and positivity in the face of all that pain. The poignant conversations that we had in the last few months of her life have forever changed my view of things. Our birthdays are 2 weeks apart, and we'd planned to host a co-party, a stunner of a splash in Italy for all this big significant one, for all to enjoy. And I'm really feeling sad that she's not here to do that. She also instructed me not to mourn, but to embrace life and love, and to make sure the mutual friends we have all stay connected. I have a sliding photo album at home playing in my kitchen with her picture that comes up very often. I take great comfort in that, and I talk to that picture a lot. And I sometimes go to the phone to call Diane, only remembering that she's not there. That great laugh of hers still rings in my ear, and I'm often reminded of WWDD, What Would Diane Do? She was a truly remarkable person, and those of us who called her friends, we were the lucky ones. We were lucky to have known her, and her family and friends will always remember Diane. And let's raise a toast to her.
Goodness, I know. Okay, thank you so much. Next, please help me welcome Despina Williams. She's a co-worker and friend of Diane's. And Despina, if you can come up. Well, we'll give her a hand while we wait for her to come up. Now, there's still some seats here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5 chairs back here. So if anyone is tired of standing, you want to rest your legs, that back row here in the front is available. So please sit down.
Yeah, I do. Hey, enough with the short jokes. Oh, I did. Is that it? Okay. Look at this room. This thing is in front of my words. Okay. For those of you that don't know me, I worked with Diane for close to 25 years, and we developed a very strong, very close friendship and a working relationship too. Standing here today, it's impossible not to notice how full this room is and how fitting that feels. Diane had a remarkable way of bringing people together, and this gathering reflects exactly who she was. It also feels especially right to be here at the Richmond Country Club. This is a place where Diane knew well. She loved it here, whether she was here with friends or colleagues or familiar faces. This was one of those places where conversation flowed, connections formed, and people felt at ease. In 1985, the Dupuis-Celebration group was born here in Richmond, and over the next 4 decades, Diane built far more than a successful firm. She built trust. She believed education mattered, credentials mattered, ethics mattered. She believed deeply that when people entrusted you with their health, their income, and their future, you owed them excellence. But what made working with Diane truly special was never just the work. It was who she was. In the early days, long before navigation apps were part of daily life, Diane relied on me as her trusted passenger to help guide us to client meetings. She relied on me. And in hindsight, that was a bold choice that regularly got us lost. In the early days, all the time, Phyllis, clearly seeing a problem, started printing out Google Map directions page after page. And somehow, even with the printed instructions, a passenger guide, and our very best intentions, we still managed to get lost, which eventually made one thing very clear. I was not and never was a reliable GPS. One day, instead of arriving at a client meeting, we somehow, don't know how, we ended up in a cow field, an actual cow field. And I can still hear her saying my name, Despina, in that familiar tone that somehow managed to be amused, patient, and affectionate all at once. She didn't get frustrated. She didn't panic. She laughed. She cracked a joke and trusted we'd figure it out together. Diane understood that how you handle a situation matters far more than getting everything exactly right. That humor showed up everywhere. We worked long days when we were building the Dupuis-Celebration group, often well into the evenings and weekends, so naturally Diane and I would get hungry. And more than once, that hunger led us to quietly start opening desk drawers, but not for files. We were actively looking for chocolate. Our options expanded significantly once Zara arrived with her legendary Costco-sized container of chocolate-covered raisins. Diane and I treated it like a shared office resource and regularly helped ourselves. The problem was, this was not a one-time event. It happened often, and very often, and we were terrible at covering our tracks. We'd leave little chocolate trails under the desks and scattered across the office floor, so by Monday morning, it was painfully obvious that someone had been snacking their way through the weekend. Again, stealth was not our strength. Of course, we'd get caught, but even that turned into laughter. It was such a Diane thing. Work hard, enjoy the moment, and never take yourself too seriously. And during client visits, even if we had a small window between meetings, this is the theme, we turned that into something fun too. We'd make mad shopping dashes to Judith and Charles. They knew us well. We would actually call ahead and say, "We're on our way." By the time we arrived, the dressing rooms would be filled with suits just waiting for us. 30 minutes later, we'd walk out with our new work outfits, laughing, fully styled, and somehow still on time, rushing straight off to the next meeting as if this was a completely normal part of a business day, which with Diane, it somehow was. That same energy followed her when we traveled together. Oh my gosh, after 10 or 12-hour days, meetings and presentations, my first instincts were always, let's just go back to the hotel. Not Diane. She'd say, come on, let's go to the lounge, just one more drink. And before you knew it, she was still fully engaged, laughing, chatting, connecting, as energized as she'd been that morning. I used to say, my gosh, Diane had a second wind that never ran out. No matter how long the day had been, she always had energy for people. It was her reminder that yes, the work matters, but so do the people doing it. One of Diane's greatest gifts was her extraordinary ability to connect with people. And this room tells it all. Long before networking became a professional buzzword, it came so naturally to her. She didn't just make introductions, she made meaningful ones. Many friendships, careers, collaborations exist today because Diane saw a connection and made it happen. That love of bringing people together extended well beyond work. She adored hosting summer barbecues where colleagues, friends, and clients would mix effortlessly. She loved the laughter, the conversation, and simply watching relationships form. She also loved galas, as we heard from the previous speakers, and charitable events. Diane was a true philanthropist, not just in giving, but in showing up. She believed community was built through presence. She played a significant leadership role in fundraising for the Richmond Hospital Foundation, helping raise millions of dollars for vital healthcare infrastructure. Diane often said her greatest achievement was marrying Fred in 1988. Their partnership brought her immense joy. Together, they shared a love of travel, adventure, and celebrating life, from Maui to Bora Bora and everywhere in between. Those who knew Diane knew her as funny, stylish, generous, fiercely loyal, and deeply kind. She loved beautiful things, good wine, lively conversation, and yes, the occasional piece of office chocolate. Diane once said, "It's easy to be passionate about your work when it benefits others as well as yourself." And that passion, she believed, could become a legacy. She was absolutely right. Her legacy lives on in hospital walls, in businesses protecting their people, in friendships formed because she made the connection, and in countless lives made lighter simply because Diane showed up. She showed us that success doesn't have to be heavy. Okay, this is a Diane moment. This is it. She's here. She's calling me. Oh my gosh. That was her. I swear that was her. Okay. She showed us that success doesn't have to be heavy, that leadership can come with laughter, that work can be done with heart. She reminded us to pause, to connect, to share a drink at the end of a long day, and to look for chocolate when things feel hard, and always make room for people along the way. Diane didn't just build a career, she built community. She didn't just open doors, she brought us through them together. And though she is no longer in the room feels fuller because of her. That is her gift, that is her legacy, and that is how Diane Dupuis will always be remembered. I need a cheers. I don't have my glass. Okay. Let's all have a cheers for Diane Dupuis.
Okay, I need to know, was anybody actually on that phone, Jack? Okay, thank you, Despina. One more speaker, and then we've got a video. So next up, I'd like to welcome a long-term friend and neighbor of Diane's, Peter Raju. Peter, where is he? He's probably, oh, there he is. They're too close to me. I can't see them in front.
Well, everything that I heard this afternoon is so true about Diane. She was very special to everyone here, and especially to myself and my family. Some 80 years ago, I stood here to eulogize Fred. Diane asked me to talk about the jokes that he shared with us. Today, I find myself in this very room reflecting on a relationship spanning over 40 plus years. And that's quite a long time. Diane was not only my investment advisor, she was also a very dear friend of both myself and in the later years, she ultimately became a member of our extended family. I never imagined that I would be here speaking about Diane. A couple of years ago, I felt quite seriously sick. Diane was heading to Hawaii, and I said, I don't know if I will meet with you again. She said, no, I'll be here, and I will do the eulogy. That was just 2 years ago. And I know she would, because every time we go to Hawaii in January, she would make a point to fly to be with us to celebrate my wife's birthday. When Usha turned 60, Diane and Fred promised to be there. Unfortunately, she couldn't get a flight, so they chartered a plane to be there. Unfortunately, because of weather conditions, the plane could not land. So they had to go back. So Diane had a very special place for our family. In December, before she left for Hawaii, she visited with us. She loved Usha's cooking. And she loved curry, she loved prawns, and a number of different dishes. I met Diane through my membership in the Rotary Club of Richmond. At that time, I was club president, and women were not members of the club. The moment Rotary permitted women to join, Diane was the first. As club president, new to the country, I was always nervous to speak in public, not only being the club president. At that time, there were very powerful and strong business leaders who were members of the club. Then Diane comes on. I said, how would I handle her? You know, she came seriously. She came as a very demanding individual, wanted a number of changes to happen. So I said, Diane, in our club, you will be required to do a classification speech. Tell us about yourself. Instead, she talked about her meeting Fred, how Fred filled the home with roses, and she fooled him a couple of times that she had cooked dinner for him. And apparently Fred knew all the while that Diane did not know how to cook. Wanting to know Diane better, he's working on it. Sorry? Yeah, okay, sorry. Diane knew how to tell stories, and she made everybody smile. She made me feel after that speech that it will be easier for me to know her well. And after that coffee, our friendship began. I'm trying to change some things because a number of you have already spoken. Yeah, all of us, I think, Anna and all of us. Anyways, Diane and I did a lot of charitable events for the Rotary Club of Richmond. She did make sure that every event we did, we were going to be successful, we'll raise a lot of money, and which we did. When Diane became a member of the board of the Richmond Hospital Foundation, she asked me to join her, which I did. So after a couple of meetings, Anna was on the board, so she knows. I suggested that, we cannot count on individuals writing checks to the hospital foundation. Let us make an effort to see how difficult it is to raise money. And at that time, we proposed to have our own charitable event. I think Diana, Anna, and a few of us were threshing what name would we have. We finally chose to have the Starlight Gala. Today, I feel very proud that it is one of the most successful events of the Richmond Hospital Foundation. As it's been said, a lot of money has been raised. Diane was extremely proud of leaving that legacy, and I hope that the Starlight Gala will continue for many, many years until at least the new hospital is being built in Richmond. During our relationship, Diane introduced me to a lot of very prominent business leaders here. And through my relationship with them, I was able to be successful in my own business. Diane and I talked about a lot of things in business and otherwise. And one afternoon, I went to Diane for some business advice in her office in downtown Richmond. I said, Diane was saying how expensive the rent was and the maintenance fee. I said, Diane, I'm just putting up a building on number 6 Road. Why don't you consider buying? But he said, no, I need an office building. I said, yes, I will do an office building. And he said, and then she said, no, it's a warehouse, office warehouse. So I did a lot of convincing with her. And I said, I will be moving my corporate office. There's an accounting firm coming next door. And she came, looked at it, and then she complained, trying to get out of it, or there was not going to be parking. I said, I'll give you extra parking spots. And then I said, on the second floor, on the ground floor, you could build for your older clients so that, if they came over, there was room for them, and they would love driving another 2 blocks. That was the wisest investment Diane made, and I know recently when she sold her business, she said that was the best growth that she had, getting that real estate at that time. Everyone has said that Diane had been very generous. Yes, she was a philanthropist, always giving. Knowing that any time you invited a fundraiser, she would make a donation. So following the COVID-19, we had a small event, very small event at my home. So I invited Diane and Anna as our guests to join us. So when she walked in, she said, it's a fundraiser. I said, yeah, just for a few guests. She said, what it is for? I said, for the BC Children's Hospital diabetic care unit. She looked at Anna, I believe you also made a donation that day. And then Diane knew that I was making a donation on behalf of my granddaughter. She said, what about your grandson? I said, no, I haven't thought about it. So she immediately agreed to give $25,000 on my grandson's behalf. And that was Diane. As our friendship grew, I also had the privilege of getting to know Fred. Together, they became part of our family lives. There were so many shared dinners, celebrations, and simple moments. Truthfully, I can't remember a time when Diane wasn't there until recently, when her health began to decline. If I felt her attendance was missing at our 50th wedding anniversary couple of months ago. That was probably the only time that she was not with the family. Today, I miss her presence, her phone calls, and I feel the emptiness that she has left behind, something that cannot be replaced. It's been a 40-year relationship. It was Diane that I always consulted, and the other was my eldest brother. And not having both of them here today makes me always wonder how and who do you share some of the advice that you would need. When I phoned Diane in Hawaii, I believe in January, and she had a very bad cough. And I started phoning her for, I believe, every day, and suddenly I realized she was in Richmond Hospital. We went to see her. She did not look well. And I, at that time, did not believe or even think that we might be losing her. Diane was determined to be here this day, not here, but celebrating with her friends in Italy, her 70th birthday. Just before her passing, she invited Usha and I to visit with her. I did not know how to handle going to see her. We went, expecting Diane to be not that well. I was surprised. She was sitting in the wheelchair, a bottle of wine on the table with 3 glasses. And she said, "Why not? Let's have a drink," right? Finishing the bottle, I believe another extra bottle was opened. You didn't like the bottle, right? Yeah. Sorry? They didn't do it properly. So, so we finished the second bottle. And in spite of having a good time, it was the most difficult time for me to say goodbye to her. For the first time, I saw real courage in a person facing death. Her house was all lit up for Christmas. It wasn't even Christmas. She knew she probably wouldn't make it till then. But the courage that she had, I could not just believe. I would not be able to deal with that. But that showed the strength that she had. It was difficult to say goodbye. And I know going forward, Diane will always be in our hearts, in my family's heart. As every time we had dinner, I would phone her. I said, "Diane, what you doing?" She said, "No, I'm home. I'm in my pajamas." I said, "Look, Usha cooked made rack of lamb. Why don't you show up?" And I said, "Don't worry about changing." But no, Diane would make sure she's fully dressed up for dinner. Although I just live behind this club and she's only 5 minutes away. In closing, I just want to say how thankful that we have been to not only have known her, but to have her as a true family member. She was there for all of us at all the time, and I will always miss her. I want to thank her for her friendship, her wisdom, and for all the joyful moments we had together. Since I believe I'm the last speaker, I'm not going to do a toast, but I really appreciate if all of us could stand and observe a minute of silence in memory of Diane. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. That's a lot of years and a lot of wonderful memories. So next we've got a video that we're going to play. So there's still some seats. So move around so you can see the video. There's a screen there that will play as well as this one here. So position yourself so you can see it. And then afterwards we'll have, we'll take a bit of a break and you can get some food and a drink. And then we'll have a bit of an open mic. So if you have a story that you'd like to share, please come on up. So we'll cue up the video. Everyone get yourself in position. I knew there'd be some tissues needed for that. That's why these little packets are on the chairs, people. Okay, so now what we'll do is we'll just get a drink and stretch your legs, and then we'll have an open mic for anybody that wants to share a story or a memory with that they had with my Aunt Diane, and then we'll come back.
Yeah.
So on behalf of the family, we just want to thank everyone for coming out. The mic will be open if anybody wants to come up and is brave and wants to tell a story or share a memory. But thank you. Go ahead.
Sorry. I know Natalie would like to come up and say a speech, and we would like to thank all of you that are watching on the live stream. Thank you for joining us because you couldn't be here in person. And everyone, thank you for coming.
And I'll just say, Natalie will wrap it up on the up here, but let's just all enjoy the food, the beverages, and this big, beautiful party that Aunt Diane wanted us all to have. Yep. You can
Okay, this is going to be interesting.
just wing it.
Okay.
Take my water.
Oh, thanks. Keep my tissue. Good afternoon, everyone. I have a story to share, and I'm going to ask all the people that I know in the room to get everybody to listen, because this is about Diane Dupuis-Celebration. So if I can get your attention, I think you'll enjoy the story. Shh. Thank you, Fred Lee. Fred is an auctioneer at many, many galas, and that's his trick. Shh. Dupuis-Celebration. Diane Dupuis-Celebration. What a woman. What an inspirational and influential, judging by this room, woman. I met Diane in 2011, 15 years ago, when I first joined Richmond Hospital Foundation as the president and CEO. And I'd heard about her, of course. And shortly after learning about the brilliant, spirited person that she was, we were introduced at a Richmond Chamber of Commerce luncheon. And Diane's energy was like magic. Everyone around her was lighting up, connecting, and engaging with one another. And I felt her pull. I felt that gift she had of bringing people together. And you've heard so much about that today. Learning about the incredible leadership that Diane brought to Richmond Hospital Foundation, where she was involved since 1987, when the foundation was first founded, was amazing. And ladies and gentlemen, one year, Diane gave me all the notes and minutes that had been kept during her tenure as the board chair. And it was really special to learn about all of the amazing things that she and many people in this room today made happen. So much of the work at Richmond Hospital Foundation took place during those decades when she was involved and set the stage for what would come next. How many of you were involved in something that Diane put on? Put your hands up. All right, we have a lot of participants here. She played that significant, meaningful volunteer role as part of our campaign cabinet team for the new Yurkovich Family Pavilion with our chair, Rick Illich, and other volunteer members. She believed that excellent health care was one of the most important and essential gifts that people could make possible for everyone in Richmond. Diane continued to give back throughout her life. Inspired by her grandmother, we know she learned early the importance of giving back and witnessed firsthand community building that life makes life better for people and their families. And we will all, at Richmond Hospital Foundation, continue to be inspired by her and by the spirit she brought to every single thing she did. Joy, gratitude, serenity, interest, hope, pride, humor, which we heard a lot about today, inspiration, awe, and love for others. Diane knew how to evoke these emotions in people, and she was so positively driven in everything that she did with and for others. From all of us at Richmond Hospital Foundation, Diane, you will always be part of the Richmond Hospital Foundation family. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you for celebrating Diane today the way that you have. She will always be with us.
Hello, everybody. Everybody outside, maybe you could come in to hear my speech I work so hard on. I feel there's too many people still outside that I would like to come in. Yeah, I know you can. But I still need that. I need the crowd. I need the crowd. You can come up here with me. Okay. Okay. Okay, I think I will just start with Travis. Do you hear me, Travis? I see you out there. Uncle Dave, come on inside, Uncle Dave. Cameron, I see you, Cameron. Come on inside. Thank you. Okay, so everyone who is in here right now, my name is Dana. I don't feel like I have the attention of everybody. Hello, 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 hello. Okay, my Uncle Bob said with the go ahead, so I'm gonna go with that go ahead because I'm a little nervous to be up here myself. Hello, everybody. Thank you for coming this afternoon. My name is Dana. I am a great niece of my Aunt Diane. I feel very grateful to be here with each and every one of you today. It is remarkable to see the amount of people here to support and who have loved her. It's something really amazing. Anyways, so let's get on with it. Actually, I'm going to start with, in the slideshow video, they had shown a few clips of the Richmond Centennial with Jim. I don't know his last name. However, I have watched that clip over and over and over again since my aunt has passed, just to hear her voice. So it was really lovely to see that clip being shown today, as it has definitely taken a mark on my heart just to be able to hear her voice in that way. Anyways, let's get on with it. It has been so wonderful hearing all of your stories today, sharing your memories you have had with my Aunt Diane. So I wanted to share a few of my own. As most of you know, as most of you has said, Aunt Diane was a very unique woman. She had a lot of character. She had a lot of charisma that I hope to embark myself one day. For me, I learned a lot about class with my Aunt Diane. As my sister and I grew up, we had come to the Richmond Country Club with her. Absolutely no holes in your jeans, no holes. I learned that very early on, spending the weekend with Aunt Diane. I could not wear the clothes I admired to wear as a 16-year-old. My sister and I spent many summers with Aunt Diane doing all the things: shopping, dinners at the club, movies, and when we were old enough, a few bottles of wine. Sorry, a little nervous. Plus, I hear people in the back talking when I'm here speaking. Okay, here, I'll just get on with it. I'd like to first share the story when my family and I came to stay with Aunt Diane before our trip to New York. So we had gone together with Aunt Diane the night before. We came to the country club for dinner around 6 p.m. and around 7 p.m. it was bedtime for the Howman family. Yes, we clock out very early. However, my brother and her decided to stay up and share a few stories throughout the night. So 4 a.m. came around and we were coming downstairs to head off, and Aunt Diane, in Aunt Diane fashion, looked as if she was ready for the day. Lipstick on, outfit on, perfectly refreshed face. She sent us off, and as my family and I, we were in the car, my brother goes, I don't know how she put herself together like that. 2 hours ago, we were watching Toy Story 3. And Diane could always put on a face for anybody at any hour, despite the conditions. It was amazing. That was a classic Aunt Diane for me. One of our first weekends, my sister and I shared with Aunt Diane, she had decided that we were going to go to the Richmond night market. After a day of shopping, dinner at the club, she said, girls, okay, girls, we are heading off to the Richmond night market. In her heels, we went on the gravel dirt road to the Richmond night market with our fast passes in hand. As we were entering, 10 minutes passed and she was done. This had no interest of us. The deep fried food were not for her. Oh, Katie's gonna come in to add to this. Yeah.
Okay, hang on. I think what she's missing here is our first time going shopping with Aunt Diane. That unforgettable moment, okay, I think of all the time. So of course, Dana and I are, what, 15, 16? Okay, so we're shopping at American Eagle, okay? We probably spent about a lot of money, okay? Enough that it fits into bags. And the woman goes, would you like a bag for your clothes? And she looks at us, she goes, a bag? Would I like a bag? Well, what, am I gonna carry this out in my hands? Okay, yeah, I want a bag. And okay, that was the first. Dana and I were beside ourselves. Okay, this is how you actually shop. And then we go into 9 West, where Dana and I didn't try on a single pair of shoes. And Diane, okay, go on.
No.
Okay. Aunt Diane tried on about 12 pairs of shoes, to which she didn't put any of them back in the box. And Dana and I start putting them back in the box. And she
No, girls, we don't do that. No, girls, this is what they are hired to do. They can put it back in the box. This is not your job. This is not your job. And so we resumed that after we went to Coach, where she had a limited edition 3 pairs of heels, and they were out of stock. And she said, I'm ordering all 3 and 3 pairs in all sizes.
Yeah.
She got that.
All colors, the same size. But she ordered all of them. Okay? Anyways, okay, back to your Richmond night market.
All right, so we had.
I had to add that.
Don't leave me. So what? Enough that Aunt Diane would be happy that we were up here saying this for her. So we had. Woo! Raise a toast to that.
I feel fine.
Yeah, so do I. Anyways, we had gone to the Richmond night market. She had purchased a fast pass. Meanwhile, she's in her heels, and if anybody's been to the Richmond night market, you know that this is gravel and dirt. So as we're walking through, 5 minutes in, she sees the deep fried food, and she says, "Girls, this isn't it. Like we're done. This is enough. We're going home." So we give our fast passes away to the next customer in line. And as we're driving back, and this was on a day where we did the Tour de Richmond, so we saw everything from Steveman to Mabube's house. To Stevenson, yeah, whatever. To Mabube's house and back. And she goes, girls, you know, I can't eat dairy. I'm lactose and free. I can't eat ice cream. But would you girls like to go to Dairy Queen?
She had a very selective diet, okay? So her dietary restrictions were selective to her. And so there were certain occasions where she was like, no, sorry, girls, I can't eat that. I don't eat dairy. And then later on in that evening, she goes, so girls, how about Dairy Queen? And so we would all go to Dairy Queen. And, you know, I'm going to cry.
Say she divulged in a blizzard.
Oh, no. Oh, I'm done. That's my.
Okay. To end it off, like my sister and I were very lucky and grateful for the time and the quality quality time spent with our Aunt Diane. We were very honored to be able to spend that with her. We learned a lot from Aunt Diane. She was a very classy woman. Okay, my mom says to wrap it up. Anyways, I'd just like everybody to know my name's Dana. This is Catherine. We are Aunt Diane's great nieces. And we are so happy to have you all here to honor her and to love her because we loved her just as much as you guys did. Thank you, everybody. And Ava would like to say,
We love you.
woo!